I am very excited to be talking again with Mike Jordan, who's the founder and CEO of Circle Love, one of the most interesting and innovative caregiver solutions that I've seen in a long time. He's come up with a brilliant caregiver support app that really puts the family caregiver in the center, like we always like to say, being the CEO of Caring for a Loved One, Inc. And when we spoke last time, it was just an amazing amount of support and benefits and services that Circle Love has offered. But I realized there's a lot more. So, hey, Mike, how are you?
I'm doing great. And Gary, it's good to see you. And I'm glad that we've kind of come through the worst of the pandemic and that we can be on we're still on a virtual call, but at least we're not wearing masks. So that feels great.
That's true. Walk me through Circle Love.
Executives from Cisco, Walgreens, Apple Community Health Network out of Indianapolis, and the University of San Francisco got together to talk about a variety of different solutions that could not only help caregivers, but also help patients. And Circle Love was kind of born out of that process. As a result, we really did initially design the tool for employees and for employers to give to their employees as a benefit. But what we realized during COVID is that, a lot of caregivers lost their jobs, they lost their insurance, or, they couldn't afford a monthly subscription fee. And we're like, well, why are we just giving this to, people who work for large corporations? And we kind of went back to our investors and said, hey, look, we want to make a much larger impact. We think we can do both mission and margin at the same time. And let's just make Circle Love free for anybody who needs it. And let's just put it out into the world and see what happens. And so I think October of 2021 was when we did a pivot away from benefits towards just making it available free on the internet for anybody who really needs it.
What have you learned from this year plus of talking to your 70,000 member base that you've applied to Circle Love?
We went ahead and put in sort of a telehealth type of video chat that works regardless of what phone you're on. So now all of a sudden anybody has access to that feature, as well as all the other collaboration tools within the app.
You have very smart investors to listen to you when you said, let's open it up. My favorite word, free.
Yeah.
and listen to our audience. What I like about the FaceTime and the interactivity is it helps with the isolation that a lot of our senior loved ones feel.
As I said, the big thing is really around just a private, secure place. It's not Facebook. There's nothing wrong with Facebook, but when you really want to invite your family into like a closed group and share not only, photos, images, videos, but also have shared calendars, have private conversations around, someone's health and caregiving, but then also, manage to do care collaboration where people can volunteer for certain tasks and things that need to be done to support that person. No one plans to be an adult caregiver. It's not the same as with a child or even with a pet, right? You're going to have a kid, you spend 9 months planning to take care of another person for 18 to 25 years. Even when you have a dog, you figure out how it's going to affect your life and you make some changes. But, when dad falls and breaks his hip, it catches everybody off guard. And no matter if you're a skilled, caregiver, you're a professional caregiver, or you're just a normal family, everybody gets caught flat-footed. And so in that moment, you try to use the tools you have, email, chat, but not everybody uses the same tools. I use Slack. That's my tool of communication. I hate email, right? But my parents don't use Slack. My sister don't. She doesn't use Slack. She likes spreadsheets and she likes wall calendars. So we're like, all right, we need a tool, the right tool for the job, instead of trying to force everybody to use the tools that they use for work, for caregiving. So that's the tool that we've built, a tool for caregiving by caregivers that provides just the, the unique experience that everybody can really, lock onto pretty quickly to be productive.
You're really talking about the primary caregiver being that manager of services and having the management tools that anybody who's a CEO of an organization needs at their fingertips.
You're trying to deal with really what's the matter at hand, but at the same time, the rest of the world wants to know what's going on. And so what you do in that moment is, you simply say, hey, everybody, we're going to huddle up here on Circle Of. You invite everybody to a team, and you can classify people as like inner circle members, the people who are most responsible for the care of that individual, and then friends and family. So now all of a sudden, instead of getting 50 chats and, phone calls and whatnot, where everybody wants an update, you post an update once a day or once a week, and you can show the progress of that person. So immediately, as the point person for that care coordination, you take all of this inbound communication off your plate, and you have a tool where you can kind of dictate the amount and the cadence of updates on the patient. So that's one thing. It's a collaboration tool first and foremost. But then as you start to get into the nitty gritty of care, when that person needs to go into skilled nursing or when that person comes home, there is a schedule that you have to manage not only with your family, but also with the unskilled and the home care, care providers as well. So you can invite all those people into Circle Of as well. You have a shared calendar with everybody. It maps up to your Google Calendar, your Outlook calendar. But at the same time, as you need things done, so if you're in the hospital all day, say you're a cancer patient and or caregiver for someone who has cancer, and you're in a chemotherapy session, you can arrange for like the practical, tactical things that are keep your family running while you're trying to keep up with your loved one's health. So childcare, meals, all those things, practical things you can coordinate with the app. You can assign volunteers. You can say, hey, look, can someone pick my kids up at 3:30 because I'm going to be here, at the hospital all day? Can someone feed the dog? Can someone provide a ride to and from an appointment? All those things you can coordinate on a shared calendar, but you can also assign people to those tasks, very specific people. So I want my sister driving, dad to the hospital, not my brother, because he's an awful driver, right? And if for some reason that person can't do it, it kicks off an entire workflow where it tries to find someone to do it. So if something comes up, like I can't give him a ride today, I get alerted, but then the team gets alerted, and then I can either reassign it to someone else or somebody else can pick up the task. So there'll be a website relaunch in the next 8 weeks with a marketplace with suggestions and recommendations for products and services that actual caregivers have suggested and have reviewed. So these are things that we know work. These are services that we know are useful. And so as you're going through your own care journey, either using the app, or even if you have a question about something, we want to provide, tips and articles, guides and tips that can answer the most immediate questions you have as a caregiver, but then also guide you to solutions that caregivers have, said, hey, this works, this doesn't work. And so now you're not Googling for everything. You're just in this close-knit community where you can ask people questions about products and services that they're using. And as you're using the product, so say you have a task around meals, you need to provide meals or you need to send someone a meal, we can make a recommendation for a service that delivers. Or if dad has broken his hip and you know that he's going to need to be in a skilled nursing facility, like what are good local skilled nursing facilities that are being reviewed by caregivers? So we're moving towards this experience where the community kind of figures out the best products and services for other caregivers. The ultimate Horizon 4 is making that very local. Adult caregivers show up online in very weird ways, by the strange questions we ask, because we're trying to get dad from his bed to the bathroom. We want to know the best way to do that. And we want to make sure that when you read our content, that it not only answers your question, but it links you to 4 or 5 other things you're going to need as well, because unfortunately, hundreds, if not thousands of people have been through this exact same experience and that exact same sort of care journey. So a lot of the content, products and services that they need are pretty consistent across a lot of different conditions and acute onset conditions and sort of unfortunately larger sort of more serious diagnoses.
And that's, we always find that's where the best advice, support, wisdom comes from, is our fellow caregivers. That's why we go around the country and have caregivers talk to one another. And that's what I learned as a family caregiver, is that if you want to learn something about caregiving, ask a caregiver.
The work that you do is, it's unparalleled. Your ability to get out there in the world and connect people at a very grassroots level, get people talking face to face, which has been extremely difficult over the last 2 years. So, we're happy that you guys are back in action and doing what you're doing best, and we're just happy to be a part of it.